Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something powerful. When you walk away in silence, when you choose no contact, you might think you're the only one hurting. But the truth is that silence cuts deeper than any words ever could. Your ex may smile, they may pretend, they may even act like they've moved on, but behind closed doors, their heart is screaming, their nights are restless, and their soul is aching in ways they'll never admit. And today, I'm going to reveal the undeniable signs that prove your absence is shaking them to their core. Here's a 1,000-word motivational speech styled in the way you requested. And. You see, one of the hardest things anyone can ever go through is the silence that follows after a breakup. That space between you and the person you once thought you couldn't live without feels like an abyss. And when you decide to go no contact, it feels even heavier. Your mind begins to ask questions like, do they even miss me? Are they hurting the way I am? Or have they just moved on without looking back? And that uncertainty can eat away at your peace. But let me remind you of this truth. Silence speaks louder than words, and if you listen carefully, you will begin to see the signs that the person on the other side of your no contact is not as strong as they try to appear. And the first sign that your ex is actually hurting during no contact is when they suddenly start showing up in places you frequent. Think about it. They know your routines. They know the restaurants you love, the gym you never miss, the coffee shop that knows your order before you even open your mouth. If you begin to notice them appearing around those places, even if it seems by accident, know that there's more to it. People don't walk into pain unless they're searching for relief. Your presence, even if distant, is still a source of comfort to them. They may act casual. You will hear little hints. Oh, they asked about you, or they seemed down the last time we met. Understand that people in pain look for allies. They look for someone who can carry their burden indirectly. Your ex might not have the courage to reach out directly to you, but their questions find a way through your circle. They want to know if you're coping, if you're still hurting, if you've moved on. They are hurting, but pride holds them back. So they use the people around you as their messengers, and in that roundabout way, they reveal their ache. And the fourth sign is the inconsistency in their behavior. One day you might hear that they are out partying, laughing, surrounded by people. The next day they disappear completely, isolating themselves, unreachable even to those closest to them. That swing is not stability, it is turmoil. They are trying to outrun the pain by drowning in noise, but when the night ends, when the crowd goes home, they return to silence, and that silence screams your name. You see, healing is consistent, pretending is chaotic. And when you notice this inconsistency, it is a strong sign that the no contact has left a mark far deeper than they admit. They are hurting, but they are also struggling to hide it. And the fifth sign is one you may not see with your eyes, but you will feel in your spirit, the energy shift. You will sense the tension in the air when your names cross paths in conversation. You will sense their struggle in the hesitation of their replies if, by chance, you ever speak. You will notice how their laughter sounds just a little more forced, how their eyes hold on you just a little too long when they think you're not watching. Pain has a way of showing itself, no matter how hard people try to cover it. And when your ex is hurting, that energy will reach you, whether in subtle encounters or in the unspoken words that hang between you. Trust your intuition. It knows more than logic ever can. But here's the heart of this message. Recognizing these signs is not about feeding your ego or proving that you still matter to them. It's about understanding that healing is never one-sided. It's about realizing that the distance you've chosen is doing exactly what it is meant to do. No contact is not punishment. It's clarity. It's growth. It's giving both of you the space to see what life looks like without constant access to each other. And yes, it hurts them, but it also heals you. Their hurt is proof that your presence was valuable, and that in itself should remind you that you are not forgettable, you are not replaceable, you are not as insignificant as your broken heart might try to convince you. And every time your ex shows these signs, remember that your strength in silence is teaching them a lesson words never could. You are showing them that love cannot be taken for granted. You are reminding them that losing you is not something they can brush off. And as much as they may try to mask it, their pain is the shadow of your worth. And so instead of doubting yourself, instead of sitting in the dark wondering if they feel what you feel, let these signs be your confirmation. Let them remind you that no matter how quiet it seems, you are heard. No matter how absent they may appear, you are felt. And no matter how much they try to hide, their heart is speaking in ways their lips will not. And because pain leaves traces, and the one who once held your heart is not immune to its grip, and when you see the traces, whether through their actions, their silence, or their presence where you least expect it, hold your head high. You have chosen strength. You have chosen self-respect. And that is why their hurt becomes the echo of your power. And when you recognize that echo, you begin to understand something profound. Pain does not discriminate. It doesn't matter how strong someone tries to be, how much they mask their emotions, or how loudly they proclaim that they're happy without you. When love has touched the heart, separation will always leave a scar. Your ex may not show it directly. They may bury it under layers of pride and distraction, but the hurt lingers. And it is in that lingering that you can draw strength. Because if their heart feels the absence, it is proof that what you gave was real and what you shared was meaningful. And now, let's go even deeper. There's a sixth sign, though it's not always obvious. The sudden bursts of anger or irritation directed at you, even in indirect ways. You might hear through others that they've made sharp comments about you, or you might notice that whenever your name comes up, they react with bitterness. Understand this. Anger is often just a mask for pain. It is easier for someone to lash out than to admit they are wounded. It is easier to appear hostile than vulnerable. So when you notice this fire in them, don't mistake it for hatred. Often it's the exact opposite. It's a heart that feels exposed, a soul that feels the sting of missing you but doesn't know how to sit in that truth. Their anger is the scar tissue covering a wound they don't know how to heal. And another sign is withdrawal from the things they once enjoyed. You may hear that they've lost interest in hobbies, that their energy is low, that they're not as engaged with life as before. Breakups strip away more than just relationships. They disrupt routines, identities, and even joy. When your ex begins to pull back from the world, when their spark seems dimmer, it is not because life has stopped giving, but because their inner world is clouded. And that cloud, more often than not, has your absence at its center. The human spirit aches when it loses a familiar source of love, and sometimes that ache steals the color from everything else. And there's also the silent reaching out, the late night phone calls they never make but think about, the drafts of messages that never get sent, the scrolling through old photos or conversations in their phone. You may not see this, but it happens, and you can almost feel it when it does, that invisible tug on your spirit, like someone whispering your name in the quiet of the night. Because in those private, unguarded moments when no one is watching, the truth is harder to hide. Your absence sits with them. Your silence weighs on them. And though they may never press send, though they may never pick up the phone, the very fact that they consider it shows the battle raging inside them. And there's something else too, the way they compare. You might not always know it, but in their heart, they are measuring everyone they meet against you. It could be a new person they start dating, a friend, or even just a stranger who crosses their path. They look for glimpses of you in others. They listen for your laughter in someone else's voice. They search for your comfort in another's embrace. And time after time, they come up short. Because the truth is, people are not replaceable. The role you played in their life, the space you occupied in their soul, is uniquely yours. And when they realize that no one else can fill that space the way you did, the ache only deepens. And then there's the restlessness, the inability to sit still. They may take on new projects, throw themselves into work, travel endlessly, or surround themselves with noise just to avoid the silence. But no matter how far they run, they cannot outrun the emptiness inside. That's the thing about no contact. It magnifies the silence. It forces the heart to sit with what it's lost. And the restless movements of your ex are not signs of thriving, but signs of wrestling with a void they cannot yet fill. They are trying to keep busy so they don't have to feel, but in the quiet moments, the truth always returns. And sometimes the hurt shows itself in subtler ways, like body language. If you happen to cross paths, notice the way their eyes betray them. They may avoid your gaze entirely, as if looking at you is too painful, or they may hold your eyes for just a moment too long, revealing all the words they cannot say. Notice the way their voice cracks slightly when they speak your name, or how they hesitate before asking how you're doing. The body rarely lies, even when the mouth does. And if you pay attention, you'll see that every flinch, every hesitation, every forced smile is a confession. But perhaps the greatest sign that your ex is hurting is the very thing they try hardest to conceal. The emptiness of their attempts to move on. They might date someone new, they might even broadcast that relationship for the world to see, but you can always tell when it's a replacement rat, her than a connection. There's a difference between moving forward and distracting oneself. Moving forward feels steady, calm, sure. Distracting oneself feels rushed, loud, almost desperate. And when you notice this, know that it's not love they're experiencing, it's a cover-up. And cover-ups always point to a wound underneath. And now why is all this important? Because in the depth of your pain, it's easy to believe that you're the only one suffering. It's easy to think that the silence of no contact means you've been forgotten. But that's never the full story. The human heart doesn't just switch off. Affection doesn't evaporate overnight. What you gave was not insignificant, and therefore its absence is not insignificant either. Every sign of their hurt, every slip of their mask is proof that you mattered. And that realization should give you strength. Because in those moments when you're tempted to break no contact, when you feel weak and want to reach out just to confirm if they still care, remember this. Their pain is the answer. Their silence is not indifference, it is struggle. And your discipline in staying silent is what allows that struggle to do its work. It gives space for both of you to confront your truths, to recognize the depth of what you had, and to learn whether healing means reconciliation or release. And so hold on. Hold on when the nights feel long. Hold on when the doubts creep in. Hold on when you wonder if they've already forgotten. Because every sign shows otherwise. Every action they take, every slip in their armor whispers the same thing. They feel it too. Your absence is not invisible. Your silence is not unnoticed. Your worth is not forgotten. And maybe, just maybe, the hurt they carry is not just a reminder of what they've lost, but a testimony of what you gave, a love strong enough to leave a mark, a presence powerful enough to be missed, and a connection deep enough that even in silence it speaks louder than words. And when you begin to truly understand that even in silence your presence is still felt, you realize something extraordinary. The very act of stepping back has given you power, not over them, but over yourself. You see, no contact is not about making them suffer or proving a point. It is about reclaiming your energy, protecting your peace, and allowing your worth to speak louder than any words you could ever say. And yet, the undeniable truth remains. The absence you create leaves an echo in their life that they cannot easily escape. That echo is what unsettles them in the quiet moments, what wakes them in the middle of the night, what lingers when they think they've moved on. And one of the clearest ways their hurt shows up is in their patterns of distraction. They may jump into new friendships, new hobbies, or even new relationships, but none of these things have roots. It's like planting flowers on rocky soil, pretty for a while, but they don't last. You can see the difference between genuine joy and forced activity. Genuine joy is steady, grounded, and grows stronger over time. Forced distraction is erratic, burning bright one moment and fizzling out the next. And that cycle of starting and abandoning, of seeking and failing to find fulfillment, reveals the unrest inside them. Their heart hasn't settled because the one thing it truly wants is the one thing it doesn't have, you. And you'll also notice that their confidence may falter. When two people share a deep connection, a part of their identity becomes intertwined. When that bond is broken, the foundation feels shaky. Your ex might suddenly question themselves, their choices, even their worth. They may seek external validation, trying harder to look good, achieve more, or impress others. But beneath all of that striving lies a simple truth. They are trying to fill the void left by the stability you once gave. They may not say it, they may not even realize it fully, but the cracks in their confidence are a reflection of the storm raging beneath the surface. And sometimes the signs of hurt are revealed through silence itself. They may not text, they may not call, they may not reach out, but silence can be heavy, suffocating even. Imagine carrying unspoken words, unsent messages, unexpressed feelings day after day. That weight does not disappear, it grows. And as it grows, it becomes harder to hide. You can see it in the way they carry themselves, the way their smile doesn't quite reach their eyes, the way they avoid places and conversations that remind them too much of you. That avoidance is not healing, it is hiding, and hiding always signals hurt. And there's another layer to this too. Regret. It doesn't always show up immediately. At first, pride and ego may mask it. They might even convince themselves that the breakup was the right choice. But as time passes, as they experience the silence, as they compare what they had with what they now face, regret begins to creep in. It might show in the way they reminisce with mutual friends, in the way they bring up small details of your time together, or even in the way they try to recreate old routines without you. Regret is a powerful teacher, and when it appears, it leaves no doubt that they are hurting. And then there's the vulnerability that slips out when they least expect it. Maybe they allow themselves to cry. Maybe they confide in someone close to them. Maybe they admit, just once, that they miss you. Those moments are rare, but they are real. And they prove something important. No matter how strong the mask, the truth always finds a way out. Their vulnerability is evidence of the love they once felt and the ache that still remains. And while you may never witness it directly, know that it exists. And you see, hurt has a way of humbling people. It strips away pride. It reveals the fragility beneath the surface. It reminds us that we are human. And your ex is no exception. They may try to appear unbothered, but the signs tell a different story. And when you look closely, you realize that their hurt is not just about losing you. It is about losing the part of themselves they discovered with you. That's why no matter how hard they try to move forward without facing that pain, it follows them. But let's turn the focus back to you for a moment, because recognizing their hurt is not meant to feed your pride. It's meant to restore your perspective. When you see those signs, it should remind you of the value you brought into their life. It should affirm that your love, your presence, your energy was impactful. Too often after a breakup, people forget their worth. They think, if they left me, maybe I wasn't enough. But the hurt your ex carries is living proof that you were more than enough. You mattered so deeply that your absence shakes them. That is not a sign of inadequacy. It is a sign of significance. And this significance should inspire you to stay strong. Because breaking no contact out of weakness doesn't serve you. It robs you of the very power that is making them realize your value. Every day you choose silence. Every day you choose restraint. You are not only protecting your heart, you are allowing theirs to confront the truth. And the truth is, they feel your abscess. They are wrestling with it. They are hurting because of it. And think about it. If your presence had no impact, your absence would have no weight. But the fact that their life feels different without you is proof that you changed them. And that's why the no contact rule is so powerful. It forces them to sit with that change. It denies them the comfort of reaching out for quick relief. It makes them face the reality that losing you has consequences. And that's not cruelty. That's life teaching them a lesson they need to learn. And as the days turn into weeks and the weeks into months, the signs may grow stronger. You may hear of their sleepless nights, their restless energy, their failed attempts to replace what you gave. You may notice the way their eyes soften when they see you, or the way they linger on old memories. And when you do, let it empower you, not weaken you. Let it remind you that your silence is not emptiness, it is strength. It is teaching both of you lessons that words could never teach. And so the journey continues. Their hurt is not the end. It is part of the process. It is the evidence that love leaves an imprint, that connections leave scars, that hearts are not easily erased. And while you cannot control what they do with their pain, you can control how you respond to it. You can You are preparing for the future. And that contrast is what makes no contact so powerful. It doesn't just reveal their pain. It reveals your resilience. It shows you that you are capable of walking through fire and coming out stronger. And every day you choose not to break that silence. You prove to yourself that you are not controlled by desperation, but guided by self-respect. And there is also something profound that happens when you begin to recognize their hurt without allowing it to control you. It shifts your perspective. You stop asking, do they miss me? And you start affirming, of course they miss me. You stop doubting your impact and start acknowledging it as fact. And when that shift happens, you reclaim your power, because power is not about making them chase you. Power is about knowing your worth so deeply that their reaction no longer defines you. Their hurt becomes secondary to your healing. Their silence becomes background noise compared to the music of your own growth. And still, let's not ignore the reality that their pain, though hidden, is real. Sometimes it shows up in unexpected ways, like the sudden need to reach out indirectly, perhaps liking an old photo of you online, or asking about you through mutual friends. These may seem like small gestures, but they are not small at all. They are cracks in the mask, proof that the wall they built is not as strong as they want it to appear. And while you may be tempted to respond, to break your silence, remind yourself of this. Those cracks are not your invitation to rush in. They are their lesson to sit with. And think of it this way. Every pang of regret, every wave of loneliness, every sleepless night they experience is shaping them. Just as your own pain is shaping you, theirs is teaching them lessons about love, about value, about consequences. And it is not your role to interrupt that process. The same silence that strengthens you is also refining them. The same distance that heals you is also humbling them. So stand strong in your silence, because it is doing more than you can see. And there is another dimension to their hurt that often goes unnoticed, the way it alters their relationships with others. They may become shorter with friends, more withdrawn with family, or less enthusiastic in new connections. Why? Because when someone carries unresolved pain, it spills into other areas of their life. Your absence isn't just felt in the quiet moments alone. It bleeds into how they interact with the world. That heaviness follows them like a shadow, reminding them of the gap you left behind. And though they may try to bury it, others will notice the difference. Their energy shifts, and no amount of pretending can completely cover it. And in that shift lies another truth. They are not immune to consequence. Sometimes we look at our exes and imagine them living carefree, smiling, moving on without a scratch. But life does not work that way. Every choice has a cost. Every loss leaves a scar. And just because you can't see their scar doesn't mean it isn't there. Their hurt is often quieter than yours, but it is no less real. And over time, it shapes them in ways they never expected. And so what do you do with this knowledge? You let it strengthen you. You let it remind you that your worth was never in question. You let it confirm that your presence made an impact. And then you continue to grow. You continue to focus on yourself, on your healing, on your future. Because while they are still caught between regret and realization, you are free to rise higher. And that rise is what transforms you from someone who once questioned their worth to someone who knows it deeply, unshakably, undeniably. And perhaps that is the greatest lesson of all. Their hurt is not our victory. Your victory is the strength you've discovered, the